Welcome back to the Paris newsroom here at France 24. It's time now for Media Watch. And for that, I'm joined by James Creedon, our media editor. Good evening to you, James.
Good evening, Laura.
How's it going?
All right.
Now, let's start with Saudi Arabia, one of the world's most oppressive regimes, yet one of the region's most active social media communities. Is that right?
It's somewhat surprising. Maybe the oppressive nature of the real world explains why so many people turn to the online virtual world. But a very interesting piece in Time magazine online today, a report done by Jacob Templin. Now, he was in Jeddah, the port city in Saudi, and he spoke to a group of people who have a weekly meeting where they discuss revolutions, where they discuss religion, etc. Let's take a look at some of the pictures actually from that report. And he is convinced, the guy who hosts this meeting, that he's going to be arrested any day now, because he's been doing this for the last 4 months, and he just doesn't think that the society that he lives in is prepared or evolved enough in terms of liberties to allow this sort of behaviour. But the irony is, online, you've got 400,000 Twitter users, 4 million people on Facebook, second only to Egypt.
So they don't restrict Facebook.
They
in
don't,
Saudi Arabia.
which you might expect they would. Now, we'll take a look at a quote or a soundbite in a minute of Mohammed Al-Khatani, who explains why. But in any case, social media, it is allowing a new generation to communicate without the strict censorship, I guess, you would have in the real world. Now, I suppose let's just take a listen to Mohammed Al-Khatani. He's a prominent human rights activist in Saudi Arabia, explaining why it is that society is so conservative, yet online they haven't kind of clamped down on it as much as you might expect.
Can you imagine just standing in the corner to speak out to 10 people? The state immediately will round you up and you will be in dungeons or prison. But now you are speaking out to thousands. You are a sovereign state. And if you are bothered by Twitter and Facebook, go and block it. I mean, you have the authority to do so, but they will not do it because it's going to be a big embarrassment, of course.
Very brave.
Indeed. Now, what he explains also is that the liberal nature of the internet confuses some young people who think, oh, it's fine, we can say whatever we want. But they're still in a very, very conservative society.
Tweeting is particularly dangerous, isn't
it is. And actually in February, there's one incident that got a lot of attention. Let's take a look at his photo. This is a guy by the name of Hamza Kashgari. It was the Prophet Muhammad's birthday. He tweeted something very negative about him, saying, I've loved things about you, hated things about you. There is a lot I don't understand about you. I will not pray for you. It created an absolute uproar. He had to flee the country before being extradited back from Malaysia, and he's now in prison awaiting sentence.
And he could face the death penalty.
That's right.
For a tweet.
So you tweet at your peril in Saudi, even if some say in 5 years it could be very, very different because things are moving very fast.
Well, it's very frightening indeed. And that reminds me of another story actually in nearby Bahrain.
That's right.
There was I think he was an activist, wasn't he? And he tweeted something against the government, against the royal family, and he's got 3 years in jail.
That's right. He was jailed on Monday, I believe. An anti-government campaigner, Nabil Rajab. He addressed the ruling Prime Minister, Prince Khalifa bin Halan, who's his uncle, who was visiting the region. He said, oh, all of these crowds in the streets, that was set up. I don't believe in this. When is the Prime Minister unelected? When is he going to stand down? Found himself in jail as a result. So
it makes you feel extremely grateful for the fact that we live in a society where we can tweet and Facebook to our heart's content, doesn't it?
But I think it does point to the role too that social media is having in forcing change a little bit faster than it would otherwise be having, because it is giving people a platform to express themselves where they just would not be able to in a bar or in a cafe or on the street.
It's been credited with bringing down regimes across the region, hasn't it? You can't underestimate the Facebook
watch that space,
effect.
I would say. Watch that space.
All right, now, back here in France, meanwhile, a bit of political intrigue, because there's a big power vacuum following the departure of the French President, Nicolas Sarkozy, the former French president, who is going to be taking over the UMP. There's a few names in the ring already.
It's almost a catfight because it's getting very passionate. You've got these two guys in particular. Let's take a look at their photos. You've got François Fillon, former Prime Minister under Sarkozy, Jean-François Copé, head of the UMP party. The knives are out, so to speak, in terms of who will take the leadership of the party. But guess who Nicolas Sarkozy is allegedly supporting?
Who?
The man just behind him there. That is Alain Juppé. Alain Juppé. Anybody but those two, my bodyguard included. Alain Juppé, former foreign minister under Sarkozy.
Does he want it though?
I think he does. In fact, he's the third man.
They always
He's
say
staying
they don't,
very
but
much
really
in the
they
background.
do, don't they?
Well, do you know what he said? He said, if I am elected, I won't go for the presidency in 2017. I am the candidacy of peace and unity. So Fillon
Sounds like
and
a politician,
Compe,
doesn't
you
it?
two, absolutely, you two can still go and be in the running for the presidency in 2017. I'm just going to come in the meantime and smooth things over. But
bring the party back,
the
'cause it's been
cynics are saying,
decimated.
why would Sarkozy support Alain Juppé? If he isn't going to go for it in 2017, it would open up the road for Sarkozy to make a comeback
No.
in
Is
2017.
that what people are really saying in the French
Well,
press?
some are speculating that, and stranger things have happened
Because he has recreated his Elysee office in his office at home, you know.
I would say he's still a young man, relatively speaking, for politicians. Has he done that? Is that true?
Yes. Nicholas Rushworth told us
So
last week.
maybe he's just
Literally,
practicing.
ornament by ornament. His office is the same, yeah.
And a big packet of Kleenex as well for the tears, because he's not in the real Elysee Palace
So
anymore.
3 men, sadly, all
But
men,
the-
unfortunately.
the
What
thing
about
is-
Christine Lagarde,
Christine Lagarde, I'm not sure.
head of
Maybe
the IMF?
I'm not sure. I can't tell you anything about her, but I can tell you about Berlusconi, who was also hoping to make.
He's
a
not going to
comeback.
run the UMP, presumably.
I'm not. You know, he's so ambitious that maybe he would like that. But in any case, he is planning a comeback in Italian politics next year, and the Le Figaro is talking about this.
That would be the mother of all comebacks.
It would until Nicolas Sarkozy in 2017.
That would be the grandmother of all comebacks.
Right. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, we're just going to end with a bit more about Twitter. 'Cause
That's
we don't-
right. Just
we don't
to-
plug Twitter enough
Lots
on
of
this show, I
articles
don't think.
actually today. I was looking on Storyful, which is an
Yes.
English language, and in Marianne, a left-leaning French magazine, about writers on Twitter. Now the thing is, the
Proper
average
writers
book,
or tweeters?
Proper writers.
Proper writers.
The
Or not
average book-
bloggers, but
the
people who
average-
write books. Right, okay.
The average book is about
I
half a
remember
million
them.
characters.
Yes.
And the average tweet is, well, the maximum tweet is 140.
140, that's
so
it.
you would say they're not that suited. Now, these articles are analysing how writers are using Twitter. Some are using it to promote their work, as you would expect.
People say things like great with an 8, GR,
If
and then the
you're
number
losing
8.
all your credibility as a writer if you do that.
And
though,
people,
you-
well, this is the sort of thing you see on Twitter. And
but
people don't write in sentences anymore.
and you would expect that writers would find that adapting to Twitter particularly difficult, but increasingly they are going on it mainly to market their work. That's the conclusion of these two articles. In
Buy
Marianne,
my book.
this is it. Buy my book. Oh, ran out of space. And they're pointing out in the article on the French left-leaning magazine Marianne that you have one writer in particular who he made a very poor attempt, at promoting his work.
Yeah.
He tweeted, "Oh, I am in the Montparnasse train station and I'm just behind somebody buying my book. This is very strange." And the person who wrote the article said, "Obviously, that was just a stunt at trying to promote his book."
Oh, really? I thought that was quite good. Maybe
Well,
it
maybe,
was
I don't
real.
know.
How do you know?
Maybe it was real,
You old
but people
cynic.
are marketing. They're trying to market, and I'd say they'd find it pretty difficult to adapt to Twitter generally, unless it was for a marketing stunt. I don't
I
know.
would have
Maybe
gone
I am
for
a
that.
cynic.
All right. James Creedon with Media Watch as always. Thank
Thanks,
you very
Laura.
much indeed. All right, now let's turn to web news for a bit more of what's going on in the internet, including Wikipedia's latest protest against censorship. Take a look.